All right, welcome back to the hanger. So, just gonna do a little kind of like almost like a tutorial video for people. Not everybody likes to do them. Most people do make their own leads. It saves a lot of money and a lot of headache with extra wire. So, biggest thing I can say is having a good crimper is a good one. And even though this is not a very good wire stripper, getting a good wire stripper is worth its weight in gold. So I use PowerBox for everything now. They have kind of a different system than your standard servo leads. You know, like most standard servo leads have a male and a female pins. So the male being a longer pin with the female being short. Well, PowerBox does everything on the short, the female ones, and then you plug in one of these. It's hard to see, but it's like a little three-piece wire that goes in, and then you put your cap on, versus just using the small one with the long, and then you put the other piece on. So it works. But anyway, so what I do, make sure I got the right wire. I've already made a couple. Is when you're doing PowerBox, they always do like a little piece of heat shrink on it. So I'll go ahead and put that on before I actually do the crimping and everything. This one needs to be trimmed a little bit better. That blue wire is too long. Here we go. So the color scheme on PowerBox is white in order from, depending on how you look at it. White, it's red, white, and blue, obviously, but white's your signal, and the red and blue are your ground, or power and ground, and red is positive, and technically black would be your negative. So just so you know, it's different for every type of wire you do. So I'll just go through, and knowing how thick the wires are helps too, so you don't cut a lot of the copper wire inside. You just get the sheathing off. So I'll do on PowerBox with the thicker wire that they have. They have two sizes, and this is the beefier. I do the blue and red on 22, and that seems to work out perfect. And I'll go through and I'll strip all three. Probably about 3 millimeters worth, a little bit more. It's better to take off too little and then versus too much. And then on the white wire, it's a smaller wire, and I do 26 gauge on it. And I'll do like a good crimp, and then just relax pressure, and then pull off the sheathing. And then another worth its weight in gold is a good crimper. I've went through a few that just didn't seem like it worked right. It would do too much, and it would bend these things. I mean, it would work, but it would just seem like it would be too much. And it's nice to have the one that's ratcheting, so it locks in, so you can kind of put the pin in. I know it's kind of hard to see, but the pin's in there and for the right size, and that way you're free to, you know, kind of move around. And then I just start with the leads. Some people will twist them, you know, that does help keep them from fraying a little bit, and that's what you don't want. You don't want the wires fraying and going across and laying into the other side. And then you just push it in until you get the wire right at the point where it crimps down on the actual part that you stripped off, and then you got the two little teeth at the back that grip into the wire. And then I usually give it a little tug and put on my end. And because I can't ever remember, I always have a little picture. They provide a little picture that kind of shows you which ones go which ones, because I'm always having to second guess myself. All right. And then another one here. This is the part I hate. It just goes through. Somebody asked me about my F14, where it's listed. I have it listed on like the Facebook Facebook RC cell sites as well. But if you're interested, you know, hit me up and I can contact you offline. Ready to fly with the radio is going to be right at 18. Without the radio, I was, you know, 17 or 17.5, somewhere through there is what I'm looking to get at it. Like I said, it's got two 166 in it, which actually is still more motor than it needs. I think a 150 size is perfect for that jet. It's got upgraded struts that have a down stop on them, which doesn't come that way. And it's probably got 24 flights on it, and it's a proven flyer. Flies great. I've got the rear pylons that you don't get with the standard one either. So it has a full complement of pylons. Has all the ordnance as well. Cockpit. Dang it, this one keeps getting frayed up. Like I said, it's good to go. If you don't want the radio, we can work that out. What is going on here? That's the only part you got to do. You got to be careful getting them in there, because if you don't push them in right, it'll start fraying. There we go. Bam, little tug. And then once this goes, this is obviously the side that's going to plug into the power system. And then I take my little heat gun here. And bam. And then I will always test it. A lot of times you may not have a servo plugged into it, but I'll go ahead and test it anyway with my little servo tester. Ooh. Hey, that's a rudder. So, bam. So now I know it's the rudder and it works. And then I'll just take a piece of tape like I've done all these other ones, and I'll label it. So, anyways, just wanted to do a little tutorial for people. And the only difference is with these power box is if you're going to do the other, if you want to do like a female end, you put this little piece in here, which I don't know if you guys can see that. And then you take, and these have a certain way they go on. You've got like little teeth in there that hook into this top side. And you just have to make sure you put them in the right way. So for the other end, when it comes out looking like these guys right here. So, but there you go. Just doing a little quick video on that. Not much going on. I've learned to just take my time with these. If I come out and I do 3 leads, and that's all I do, and go back inside, that's all I do. You know, I got tired of burning myself out and just taking the fun out of it. So it's supposed to be fun. So if you ever get burned out or find yourself getting burned out, just walk away. There's no rush, you know. And that's the beauty of having this nice big shop, which I've actually got to hurry up and get this out of the way, because I need to finish getting the wiring done, the baseboards, because I'm going to go ahead and get some shelving or some storage, garage storage and stuff put in. Well, not put in. I'm just going to order it, and you just assemble it and slap it against the walls. So that's kind of my winter project, which I've already talked about. So anyway, just a little video on how to make my leads. It's different depending on the thickness of wire you're using and, you know, the type of wire you're using. That's really the only difference. Like I said, Powerbox, they do it one way, and the traditional way is just using these male ends versus all female, and then using that pin. So there's really no difference. And it's the same way for these Ashlock connectors. They use the same crimpers for the pins, and it's essentially the same thing. So I will say on the Ashlock, you will have a male and female pin on the Ashlock, and obviously this side gets the male side, and then this side gets the shorter female, and then they lock in. And I've got a buddy sent me a link where you can get these by bulk for like pennies versus what they charge. Like the markup in hobby on a lot of this stuff is like 300%. It's ridiculous. So there's places that I've gone, like I get all my airline from I don't even know how you say it, McCarmasters out of Atlanta. You can get like 100 feet for $30, versus what they charge at like BVM and DreamWorks and all the other websites. It's ridiculous. Same for the pins, and I'm sure I could even find all this stuff that Powerbox uses from one of the locations, but the Powerbox stuff I typically get from like AeroPanda. But these Ashlock, they are so expensive and they're hard to get now. I'm going to go through the site that my buddy sent me that has them much cheaper, and I'm going to buy a bunch of them. So anyways, you guys have a good one. Just a little video on how to do leads, and like I said, it's different whatever your method is. A lot of people don't like making them. They'll just order the extensions and put them together, but that's I don't like doing that because a jet, it just, you end up with extra or you get too short. And this way I can put one lead to the perfect length and trim it and put an end on it versus having to daisy chain them to get what you need in length. I think it's a better way to go. It's a less failure points on the extension, and less voltage drop, which most of these don't have to worry about it, but something like like that big guy, you kind of need to pay attention to what how long your lead is to minimize some voltage drop, especially if you need a lot of torque. So, but you guys have a good one. Sorry for the long-winded, very little coverage, but I'm kind of just doing wiring and trying to, I put both boards back in. You can kind of see the power system in there. The gyro is there, and I'm just going through and making my leads. So you guys have a good one. Cheers. Don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up, thumbs down, and any questions, comments, concerns. Have a good day.